Florida State getting a big-time team win yesterday on the road at Pitt. Final score was 24-7, and Florida State did it in a shorthanded kind of fashion. We'll talk about what this means for Florida State, talk about our thoughts on the game, and talk about the road ahead for the Noles. First things first, make sure you're subscribed. Jordan Travis and the way that he is just pushing towards a Heisman Trophy kind of season, the same way we're pushing towards 200,000 subscribers. Want y'all to be a part of it. So double check if you're not already subscribed to make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Also follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at JD Pickell, a great way for us to stay involved with each other, interact with each other, even when we don't have videos on the air, when we're live on the air, which even though we have content every single day. So another reason to subscribe. So this was a tricky spot for Florida State. They got Miami next week, so a bit of that look-ahead feel to it. And then also you had a scrappy and backed into a corner Pitt team that had showed they can cause some trouble now. Just ask Louisville. Also, you were without the strong point of your football team, which is the matchups you can create on the outside. No Keon Coleman, no Johnny Wilson. So the way that this felt to me for Florida State was this was like the part of the movie where the superhero, for whatever reason, loses his powers and just has to go and do a fist fight in a parking lot with the bad guy. Like that was Florida State in this situation. They didn't have their differentiating factors with Keon Coleman, with the Johnny Wilson, and what they could do in the pass game. So, did what great teams do. Did what the superheroes do in that situation if they want to get to the ending of the movie that you all want to see. Found a way to get it done in a spot like that. And just a couple of game notes, a lot of screens early on in this game from Florida State trying to kind of get Pitt off balance. But the thing that I was impressed with was the way that they had guys step up. Like Jah'ki Douglas, going into this game, had 2 catches on the year. He had 6 for $115 in this game. Championship teams have guys step up when they need them to step up for a couple of reasons. One, the culture promotes it and allows it through competition and practice. Jah'ki Douglas, I promise you, is better and was able to do what he did in that game yesterday because of the way that he is pushed to go hard in practice, because the standard is set up here in Tallahassee. And so he was able to translate that to the game when his number was called because of no Keon Coleman. Also, development. Like, I promise you, Jah'ki Douglas was coached to the degree that he was able to play yesterday. It wasn't the thing where Jah'ki Douglas is just dismissed because, he's not going to have a ton of targets on that upcoming Saturday. Like, no, a lot of Jah'ki Douglas obviously had to put in the work during the week, but also that coaching staff had to make sure he was ready to play. And so I think you again, point right back to the internal temperature at Florida State and say, good work. Like, this is a game that without Keon Coleman, without Johnny Wilson, without your fastball, against a scrappy team that would just taken a beating the week before and they had nothing to lose, it could have got you on the road. Because of the way you had guys step up, you didn't have to deal with that. The run game made an appearance. I wouldn't say it was everything you want it to be, but still over 100 yards, 3.7 yards a carry. I think it's something to build on as a team. If they can, I say it every single week, every single Sunday, we tell the truth, and I say this every single week. When that run game gets rolling, if that run game gets rolling, I don't know how you stop Florida State. Because if you isolate those matchups on the outside, when they're healthy, they're the best get-a-matchup team in the country. And if you can have those matchups on the outside and keep that third level of the defense worried, and they can't add in the run game, and the run game's a threat to get downhill against you, again, I don't know how you stop them. The defense held up there into the bargain. Another second half shutout. It is such a luxury to be able to just turn off the water in the second half and say, offense, you figure it out. You do what you got to do. We'll hold it down until you get here. And to be able to just be that ultimate thing you can lean on for your team as a whole. I mean, it says a lot about what they have internally again, but again, it's such a huge building block to a championship level team to be able to lean on the defense when the offense is trying to get into gear because they don't have their superheroes on the outside. Now, I want to make sure we say this too. Jordan Travis does as much for this team as any player in America. Yesterday, 22 for 36, 360 yards and a touchdown. In a spot like that, when again, I keep saying this, you don't have your action figure superhero kind of playmakers on the outside, you look to your leadership. And your leadership, again, your quarterback, Jordan Travis, he sets the tone for everyone else across the offense. And that was one of the notes that we got from our great team over there at War Chant, the Florida State On3 site. Get a membership there if you haven't already. They're going to keep you in the know for all things Florida State. One of the notes we got out of fall camp was, hey, Jordan Travis, man, like, he just seems so much more calm, which is a funny way to say it, but he seems very collected. In previous years, he plays with his heart on his sleeve. I mean, and you love that about him. But whenever things don't go your way, you got to be able to be in control and not get too high and not get too low. And that was what Jordan Travis was yesterday. It wasn't going to be perfect. He scored 24 points. That offense is much better than scoring 24 points. But you found a way to get it done. A great team win. It took everybody on to the next one. Box checked, on to the next one. And so the question going forward now is if the run can get it going, that is ultimately, I think, like the spark that could set this bomb off, that is the Florida State offense. The roster, I don't have any questions about. I think they got the guys to get it done. Now, the thing I'm excited about here is to see how they handle this stretch now to end the season. That will be part a strain on the emotions with the rivalry games against Miami and against Florida, and the stakes that are now increasingly going up a rung every single week that you found a way to get it done and stay undefeated. Because now you're walking that tightrope the last couple of steps and saying, hey, you beat your rivals, who I promise you would love nothing less than to end your pursuit of perfection in a college football playoff berth. You handle business, you're in the dance. You win the ACC undefeated, you're in the dance. There's no negotiations about where you're ranked and what you did do, what you didn't do, the resume. Like, all that talking just stops if you go undefeated and you win the ACC. That's very much so in front of them right now. And that's going to determine their future, if they can handle that strain and that emotion and those stakes going up every single week. Because they're going to get everybody's best shot. A rivalry game, you take the logic, throw it out the window. We understand that. We're going to talk about those games when they get here. We're talking about Miami this week on the live show, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. But that's going to be the key test now. It's not a roster test. I promise you, they have a good enough roster to win every game they have left. Now, you hope they're full health the rest of the way. Like, that's obviously on the wish list now, as Christmas is a month or so away, I guess 2 months or so away. That's on the early wish list. So I hope you've been good this year if you're Florida State. But, like, they're going to be good enough from a talent level to win the rest of their games. It goes back now to the guys that came back, the guys that are in that locker room, keeping the main thing, not worried about what's going on in week 12, not worried about what's going on in week, championship weekend and all that. It's just one game at a time. All the cliches in the book, you execute those, you'll get where you want to go. But a big team win over Pitt. Pitt had every reason in the world to be sneaky, to play spoiler. Didn't have your fastball. Find a way. Great teams find a way. That's what Florida State did, led by Jordan Travis. Make sure you're subscribed. Hey, we love y'all, man. We appreciate y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.